Imagine tuning in to Fox News and sensing the electric tension that hums beneath every polished segment. You know the network for its high-stakes debates and headline-grabbing personalities, but did you ever wonder what happens when those larger-than-life hosts collide off-camera? Behind the slick graphics and tightly timed monologues lies a web of rivalries so dramatic they make primetime reality TV look tame. Today, we're peeling back the studio lights and unveiling the feuds, the lawsuits, and the quiet grudges that have kept Fox News anchors at each other's throats. This is Fox News anchors who can't stand each other. It all starts with conflict, the lifeblood of any compelling narrative, and no one embodies that spirit more than Greg Gutfeld and Brian Kilmeade. On one side stands Gutfeld, the quick-witted late-night provocateur whose irreverent humor has become his calling card. His jabs are sharp enough to draw blood, yet delivered with a knowing smirk that always leaves viewers guessing whether he's joking or just mercilessly trolling. On the other side there's Kilmeade, the earnest straight-shooter who anchors the flagship morning show. His earnest delivery and unwavering sincerity couldn't be more different from Gutfeld's satin-voiced cynicism. Layer these opposing styles within the same newsroom, and you've got a powder keg waiting for a spark. That spark arrived when Gutfeld, in classic form, launched a blistering roast mid-broadcast. Kilmeade had been delivering a heartfelt report, only to have Gutfeld cut in with a quip about his bland delivery. Kilmeade bristled on live television, demanding to finish his segment. Gutfeld just smiled wider, claiming he was adding spice to a vanilla performance. The exchange was brief, but the echoes lasted far beyond the broadcast. Fans flooded social media, choosing sides like it was a political election. Was Gutfeld's humor a welcome jolt, or did it cross a line? Kilmeade's polite smile on camera hid an irritation that would simmer behind the scenes for weeks. Contrast and collision are at the heart of Fox News' on-air allure, but some disputes don't stay playful for long. Enter Britt McHenry and her co-host Tyrus, two former collaborators whose disagreements escalated from awkward banter to a high-stakes lawsuit. McHenry accused Tyrus of horrific misconduct, unwanted messages, explicit images, and a hostile work environment triggered by his refusal to back down. When internal investigations produced no relief, she took her claims to the courtroom. The lawsuit became a watershed moment, revealing cracks in the network's handling of workplace grievances. Tyrus defended himself as a jovial comic who never meant offense, while McHenry portrayed a harassed professional forced into silence until she broke. Their dispute rewrote both careers and public perceptions, making clear that sometimes, the drama behind the anchor desk is more explosive than anything on air. Next, imagine two powerhouse voices on a collision course. Greta Van Susteren's calm, meticulously researched reporting versus Tucker Carlson's fearless commentary that thrived on provocation. Their feud ignited in 2011 over a controversial interview on Carlson's website, where a blunt off-color remark about a public figure sparked outrage. Van Susteren, an old-school journalist committed to measured analysis, labeled it the worst smut and accused Carlson of crossing a moral line. Their on-air confrontation crackled with resentment. Van Susteren demanded honesty and decorum, while Carlson dug in, brushing off her critiques as outdated prudishness. Their ideological rift wasn't just a personality clash, it symbolized a broader tension within Fox News between sober news reporting and headline-grabbing commentary. Just as Van Susteren's muscular principles clashed with Carlson's brash style, Geraldo Rivera found himself at odds with multiple co-hosts during his decades-long tenure. Rivera, famed for his bold field reports and brash personality, once thrived on controversy. But behind the scenes he lodged complaints about unfair treatment and perceived bias. After a particularly contentious exchange with a prominent co-anchor, Rivera announced on another network that he had been effectively fired from the primetime panel that had defined his career. He didn't name names, but insiders quickly pieced together that tensions with Jesse Waters and other rising stars had made his position untenable. His departure marked the end of an era, spotlighting how even the network's biggest mavericks can fall victim to internal power struggles. While some anchor duels simmer down with forced smiles and public denials, others erupt into legal action that reshapes entire newsroom dynamics. Take Gretchen Carlson versus Roger Ailes, the lawsuit that exposed systemic harassment at the highest levels of network leadership. Carlson's allegations of unwanted advances and punitive retaliation triggered a legal and cultural earthquake. Once a private battle, it became the keystone case of a broader movement, inspiring congressional hearings and legislative reforms. Ailes resigned under the weight of multiple accusations, and Fox News faced a reckoning it could no longer spin away. Carlson's bravery gave voice to countless women, permanently altering the network's power structure and the industry's approach to workplace misconduct. What unites these stories is their magnetic pull. Audiences are drawn to the raw edges where polished performance meets real-world conflict. They remind viewers that even carefully scripted broadcasts can't hide deep-seated grudges. Whether it's a late-night barb, a courtroom showdown, or an industry-changing lawsuit, these feuds humanize the high-wire act of cable news. They reveal that beneath the familiar faces and professional facades, personal pride, ideology, and ambition fuel relentless battles for airtime, credibility, and influence. As we dive deeper into each headline-worthy clash, you'll uncover how these conflicts shaped careers, altered the network's course, and captivated viewers hungry for more than just the day's top story. As the drama at Fox News unfolded, it wasn't just clashes between on-air personalities that made headlines. Behind the curtain, even established hosts found themselves at odds with colleagues who once seemed like allies. Take Gretchen Carlson's parallel feud with Steve Doocy. As she stood up against Roger Ailes, she also targeted one of her own co-hosts, accusing him of belittling her contributions during commercial breaks, mocking her on set, and creating a pervasive sense of hostility. Doocy, a fixture of morning television beloved for his easygoing banter, suddenly appeared in the crosshairs of a lawsuit that painted him as part of a broader culture of sexism at the network. Carlson's filings described whispered insults when the cameras cut away, subtle undermining that chipped away at her confidence and sense of belonging. By including Doocy alongside Ailes in her legal battle, Carlson signaled that no figure, chairman or co-host, was immune to scrutiny. When Doocy publicly denied the allegations, fans were left reeling. How could the smiling face they saw every morning harbor such a starkly different persona behind the scenes? That rift underlined a deeper question: were viewers really seeing the whole story, or had the polished presentation disguised a far more fraught workplace culture? Just as Carlson clashed with an anchor who felt like family, another star risked everything by going public against the very power structure that had fueled her success. Megyn Kelly, whose meteoric rise at Fox News echoed Carlson's, chose a different battleground but faced many of the same demons. In her 2016 memoir, she revealed that Ailes made unwanted advances, pressuring her to twirl on command to prove her compliance. Though she complied out of fear for her career, she later described the experience as humiliating and demeaning. When Kelly's allegations joined Carlson's, Fox News found itself grappling with a cascade of testimonies from more than 20 women. Each new story deepened the network's crisis, underscoring how pervasive misconduct had become and how many voices had remained silenced until brave individuals broke their silence. Kelly's account of spin requests in private meetings, paired with Carlson's public lawsuit, illustrated two sides of the same coin: the struggle for respect in an environment where on-air charisma was rewarded but off-air vulnerability was punished. Kelly's decision to speak up came with enormous personal and professional risk. She knew that leveling charges against a media titan could be viewed as career suicide, yet she pressed on, propelled by a conviction that the truth mattered more than her own comfort. When she moved on to a new role at another network, her departure wasn't just a contractual shift. It was a statement that she refused to be complicit in a system that prioritized ratings over people. In interviews following her exit, Kelly emphasized the importance of accountability, both personally for those who had crossed the line and systemically for an industry built on perceived impunity. Her candor won praise from advocates and survivors worldwide, even as some critics labeled her a betrayer of colleagues who had once cheered her acclaim. The debate surrounding her legacy continues to this day. Was she a whistleblower who sparked reform, or a star whose unpredictable loyalty made her persona harder to trust? While women anchors took on top executives and co-hosts alike, one of the network's biggest names faced a reckoning entirely of his own making. Bill O'Reilly, once the undisputed king of cable news prime time, found himself embroiled in multiple allegations of sexual harassment. Andrea Macris led the charge in 2004, filing suit over explicit phone calls and unwanted advances. O'Reilly countersued for extortion, and the two quietly settled with statements that denied wrongdoing. Yet that settlement set a precedent. Money had become the default solution to avoid public exposure. Fast forward to 2017, when the New York Times revealed that O'Reilly and Fox News had paid at least 6 women a total of $45 million to bury claims. Liz Wheeler's later suit added another $32 million in a confidential settlement. Each payout drew the quick attention of advertisers, who began pulling support from his show in droves. When Reynolds Tobacco and other major sponsors severed ties, Fox News couldn't shield its cash cow any longer. The network, already reeling from previous scandals, recognized that O'Reilly's departure was inevitable. His exit was swift and dramatic. In a matter of days, public outrage, internal dissent, and advertiser pressure coalesced into a perfect storm. Fox News announced that O'Reilly was parting ways with the network, using language that masked both the severity of the allegations and the magnitude of the fallout. For viewers, it was a shock. The man who had dominated ratings for years was gone, erased from the lineup as if he never existed. O'Reilly, for his part, maintained his innocence, insisting that settlements were strategic rather than an admission of guilt. He even launched his own digital platform, banking on loyal fans to follow him into exile. His story became a cautionary tale. No amount of ratings or revenue could ultimately insulate a marquee personality from the consequences of alleged abuse. Through Carlson's defiance, Kelly's memoir, and O'Reilly's downfall, a pattern emerges when anchors clash beyond the mic. The reverberations reshape careers and redefine the network's identity. These aren't isolated incidents, they're connected chapters in a larger saga about power, trust, and the price of fame. Audiences hunger for authenticity even as they demand the polished presentation Fox News promises each evening. When the veil lifts, viewers glimpse the fragile egos and deep-rooted struggles that fuel on-air firestorms, and every time a host leaves amid controversy, the network confronts a choice: double down on its existing approach or reinvent itself for a wary public. As these anchors enter or exit the stage, their personal battles become cautionary tales about what happens when ambition, ideology, and personal grievances collide in the glare of cable news. Beyond the lawsuits and fiery broadcast confrontations that lead to firings and settlements, some of the most engaging skirmishes happen not in courtrooms but around the round table. On the 5, Fox News' signature panel show, anchors who appear professional friends in promos often unleash veiled barbs under studio lights. With fixed seating and equal time to speak, each anchor knows that one offhand remark can spark a viral headline or ignite months of behind-the-scenes tension. In this pressure cooker, the duel between Tucker Carlson and Laura Ingraham stands out. Both earn massive ratings with polarizing commentary, yet when they share airtime, the atmosphere shifts from public-friendly banter to sharp ideological sparring. Carlson, celebrated for his relentless critiques of establishment figures, once cut Ingraham mid-response during a heated debate about America's direction. His posture stiffened, piercing eyes narrowing as he delivered a riposte that left Ingraham mid-sentence, viewers gasping at the unexpected backlash. The exchange became an instant talking point across social media, as clips of Carlson's calculated interruption were dissected by pundits and fans alike. Ingraham responded later with a pointed op-ed defending her earned credibility and accusing Carlson of self-aggrandizement at the expense of substantive debate. Privately, staffers say their relationship chilled, with fewer off-air discussions and a polite distance filling the camaraderie that once defined the round table. If you think that's intense, consider the frequent clashes between Jesse Watters and Juan Williams. Their dynamic pits Watters' unapologetic conservatism against Williams' outspoken liberal perspective. On air, their face-offs are laced with barbed humor and pointed statistics, but once the lights dim, sources report tense hallway confrontations and curt emails exchanged over misattributed quotes. Their disagreements highlight the unique pressure in panel shows. Rotating faces divided by politics must share a stage and produce ratings, even when trust has all but evaporated. A defining moment came during a live taping when Watters accused Williams of hypocrisy, citing a segment Williams had anchored months earlier. Williams, visibly frustrated, snapped back, his voice raised and tone sharp enough to startle crew members. That explosive retort made headlines, overshadowing the show's intended topic and prompting internal memos urging guests to prepare joint statements or risk public embarrassment. Those roundtable rivalries remind us that FOMO isn't reserved for terrestrial events or viral challenges. When you watch the next debate, imagine every anchor you see as someone who, despite tight scripts and coordinated graphics, might be one quip away from a public feud. The tension between colleagues becomes a secret currency, traded quietly in production meetings and reflected in the smallest camera angles. A lingering glare, a slightly clipped response, a delay before an acknowledgement, all signal unspoken stories no algorithm can replicate. Beyond the five, Fox and Friends can feel like a battlefield disguised as a pleasant morning routine. Hosts share jokes and friendly chatter, but some have quietly feuded over story credits and guest slots. Insider whispers describe late-night email blasts with passive-aggressive phrasing, while makeup chairs have witnessed tense silences as anchors prepared for commercial breaks. These petty tensions rarely cross into lawsuits, but they reveal how ambition and ego shape every inch of the broadcast environment. Perhaps one of the most subtle yet revealing conflicts takes place off-camera in the network's digital ecosystem. As YouTube, TikTok, and podcast feeds boom, talent competes for clicks and subscribers. Behind closed doors, debates rage over clip permission, revenue splits, and who gets to feature a trending soundbite. Even venerable anchors have stormed out of editorial meetings when they felt undervalued or saw reproduction of their footage without credit. In a media landscape obsessed with metrics, these backdoor battles underscore how valuable attention is. When we trace each feud and friction point, patterns emerge. Some clashes stem from personal slights, roasted jokes, curt emails, backstage eye rolls. Others ignite over ideological rifts, meanings of words, acceptable boundaries for provocative commentary. High-profile anchor wars often end in lawsuits or public firings, but the countless smaller flare-ups drive just as much viewer fascination and internal overhaul. The network's leadership monitors these dynamics closely, balancing the appetite for conflict-driven ratings against the risk of reputational damage. Ultimately, these stories reveal that Fox News' greatest asset, its larger-than-life personalities, is also its biggest challenge. Anchors who thrive on strong convictions and commanding presence will inevitably collide when shared airtime demands cooperation. Each feud, from cagey interruptions to bombshell allegations, offers a real-world drama that keeps viewers tuning in, hungry for the next twist. As you settle in for your next show, remember, behind every polished segment lies a fragile human dynamic, waiting for that spark to set the studio ablaze. Stay tuned, because even more tales of network rivalry are coming your way. Behind the headlines and viral clips, some of the most seismic departures at Fox News reveal feuds so profound they trigger mass resignations. One of the most talked-about exits came from Shep Smith in 2019. Known for his level-headed anchoring of the network's flagship afternoon broadcast, Smith's quietly announced departure took insiders by surprise. While no lawsuit followed, sources whispered of friction between Smith and network brass over editorial decisions, tone, and perceived ideological constraints. His calm on-air demeanor masked growing frustration, stoked by behind-the-scenes disputes about the proper balance between hard news and opinion. Colleagues recall late-night discussions where Smith pushed back against scripts he felt steered viewers toward partisan conclusions. When executives pressed for more provocative language, designed to keep eyeballs glued rather than informed, he privately balked, believing it compromised his journalistic integrity. That tension simmered until Smith chose to walk away, proving that even a ratings leader can't survive if the network's vision no longer aligns with his own. Smith's discontent reportedly stemmed from his insistence on independent reporting over partisan storytelling. In private editorial meetings, he challenged directives to emphasize certain narratives, clashing with senior producers determined to deliver the network's core message. One former colleague describes a closed-door disagreement where Smith refused to read a script he considered misleading about a major political event. That refusal marked a turning point. If anchors no longer felt safe trusting the editorial process, the network risked losing credibility. While other talent quietly acquiesced, Smith's departure sent a stark warning: no anchor, no matter how popular, was immune from the consequences of speaking up. His exit reshaped Fox News' afternoon lineup, and left a void that subsequent hosts struggled to fill. After Smith left, the vacancy set off a chain reaction of informal power plays. Shannon Bream, already a rising star with her primetime program, shifted time slots and inherited greater visibility. Yet even Bream's ascent caused ripples. Hosts long accustomed to their positions questioned the decision, and rumors circulated of behind-the-scenes jockeying for control of segment rundowns and high-profile guest bookings. Producers recall meeting rooms divided into factions, those backing Bream's straight news approach versus advocates for more personality-driven coverage. Staffers say the shuffle created an environment where allies and adversaries formed camps, each lobbying for airtime and influence. These internal alliances shaped everything from desk layouts to show promos as the network attempted to project unity amid a subtle turf war. Sean Hannity's primetime fortress seems impermeable, but even he isn't insulated from discord. Behind the scenes, producers, bookers, and contributors jockey for Hannity's attention and approval. Late-night pitch sessions evolve into battlegrounds where personalities adjust talking points just to secure a coveted segment. When one contributor publicly challenged Hannity's framing of a breaking story, sources say his booking suddenly dried up, an unmistakable signal that dissent, however minor, carries real risk. That power to reward loyalty or administer a cold shoulder fosters a climate where on-air fealty can mask deep-seated resentments. While viewers see a confident monologue, the production team feels the tension of managing multiple egos under one host's banner. On Outnumbered, the rotating female panel can feel collegial, but sparks fly when strong personalities intersect. An explosive on-air spat between Harris Faulkner and a special guest, Kellyanne Conway, underscored this dynamic. Faulkner's probing policy questions clashed with Conway's defensive posture, and what began as spirited debate morphed into a cold, clipped exchange. Off-camera, producers raced to debrief the fallout, anxious that the friction could alienate centrist viewers seeking balanced discussion. Though both women later downplayed the incident, internal memos reminded anchors to manage tone and anticipate explosive guest reactions, a tacit acknowledgement that even friendly banter can erupt into full-blown drama. The network's streaming extension, Fox Nation, introduced a new battleground for creative egos eager to command the subscription realm. Hosts pitched documentary ideas, each hoping to cement a legacy amid the digital surge. But when two anchors proposed nearly identical concepts, a military homage series, executives flagged redundancy. Behind the scenes, the hosts sparred over whose project would move forward. One threatened legal action over intellectual property, accusing the other of appropriating her concept. Though no lawsuit emerged, the tension lingered, reflected in interviews laced with subtle, almost indiscernible digs. Fox Nation's leadership ultimately merged the pitches, but the incident revealed that even in the age of streaming, fresh ideas remain prime territory for conflict. Election cycles amplify anchor rivalries as every segment becomes a predictive battleground. Producers recall a midterm election night when panelists on both partisan sides stormed out of a control room meeting. Disagreements over projected call times and guest selection boiled over, with tempers flaring so badly crew members feared on-air chaos. The network's leadership later instituted stricter protocols, joint scripts, shared graphics, assigned speaking orders to prevent another meltdown. Yet even with new guidelines, the legacy of that red versus blue showdown continues to cast a shadow over each election special, reminding everyone that high-stakes politics fused with personal pride can lead to explosive backstage confrontations. Emerging talents face their share of friction too. When Dagan McDowell joined from CNBC, she entered a well-established hierarchy. Trish Reagan, another up-and-coming host, reportedly viewed McDowell's reputation for direct no-nonsense questioning as a threat.